that I finally released the pain and realized that God is a forgiving God. And there's nothing that we do that would ever break our bond with him. So here I am today. I continued with one birthright. It was a birthright. I took over it and made it Birth Choice. Birth Choice Pregnancy Center, I went to 3. Now, by the way, I did start my own. All this time I'd gone back to school, I did start my own company. So I was working full time. My husband was a stay-at-home dad with our 3 kids. They were all athletes. You name it, they played it from this age, you know. And I went to the games, but I didn't have to go to the practices. But anyway, that Pregnancy Resource Center in Mission Viejo became 3 Pregnancy Resource Centers, one in Mission Viejo, one in Placentia, and one in Irvine. Those 3 pregnancy centers turned into 3 licensed medical clinics in the state of California. Those 3 licensed medical clinics have turned today into 48 Obria medical clinics around the country. We have formed the only and first national brand of pro-life clinics, a trademark name. And why are we doing this? So this is truly my story today is I saw the Pregnancy Resource Center and it was great. But I also looked at Planned Parenthood. Now, I run my own company, and my company was a packaging and labeling and design firm that worked with biomedical device companies, so Medtronic and J&J, the big ones. And so we went in, and we were this little, I ran this out of my living room while my 2 little ones were still, you know, until they got in kindergarten and school, so they would be with mom. Now, I knew how to take that, and we became one of the top. I mean, Medtronic is the largest medical device company in the world, and they were my client from their corporate offices in Minneapolis to St. Paul to the West Coast, including Washington, California, Puerto Rico, and Tijuana. And so that's where my company was. So I know how to make a company go. And what is it that makes you succeed as a business person, all of you? If you own your own business, you're going to look at your competition, right? I mean, I was in this packaging and labeling and translation and blah, 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 because we had to translate in 38 languages. I was looking at who's my competition. And I researched them. And I knew what they were doing. And I said, okay, I'm going to beat you because I want to be the #1. I want Medtronic. I want Johnson & Johnson. I want St. Jude's. I want St. Joseph. I want all this. And this is what we're going to do. And I'm going to support my family. And I'm on the road. And I'm going to run these little pregnancy centers over here. And then I realized this isn't working. I didn't go into this to hand out diapers and formula. Not that that isn't a good thing. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I was doing. I wanted to compete with Planned Parenthood. And I wanted to make sure no woman ever had to walk into an abortion clinic of Planned Parenthood for their women's health, and I wanted to make sure that there was an alternative clinic that she could come to and get a message affirming life. Yes. Now, the only way you can compete with Planned Parenthood is a brand. Now, people still say to me today, well, I don't see the importance of a brand. I said, really? So, let me just say this. Planned Parenthood, 100-year-old brand. We're a little behind the 8 ball here, but we got God on our side. Millennials buy brands, from their shoes to their makeup to their clothing to their cars to everything. It is a brand. Now, if you look at brands today, those brands are one word: Uber, Lyft, Mac, makeup, Adidas, Nike, on and on and on. It's one word. Why? Because the millennials want one word. They don't care that it doesn't mean anything, but they want to be able to remember it. So what did I do? I took Birth Choice on 2 college campuses, and we did focus groups. Went in with Birth Choice. 97% said, I know exactly what that is. That's one of those pregnancy centers. You're Christian-based, and you're going to take away my right to choose. Yep. Nope. But that's what they said. Why? Because Planned Parenthood has marketed all the names that we use and said, you can find it anywhere. There's about 8 words that all the pro-life centers have across the country: birth, choice, alternatives, options, life. There's 2 more. Can't remember them because I'm old. But anyway, you get my point. If you go search pregnancy resource centers, one of those names is in their title. So all they had to do is go out and say, if this name is in there, and if they're only doing a pregnancy test and an ultrasound, and it's this name, it's a pregnancy resource center, they're not a clinic. That's where you came out with the fake clinics. Now, I'm not going to argue that point, but I really am, because the pro-life movement has been out there for 45 years. 45 years ago, or 40 years ago when I started, having them come in and giving them maternity clothes, do you think girls today wear maternity clothes? Not. You know, all the maternity stores have gone out. So if you look at what women are looking for and why they're going into Planned Parenthood, they want full service medical provider. And then if they get pregnant and it's an unplanned pregnancy, they're not going to Planned Parenthood for prenatal care. Why? Because Planned Parenthood does no prenatal care. None. So get it out of your head that they're women's health. But Planned Parenthood became their place to go to. Why? Because it's a national brand. Everybody knows it. They're across from every university and high school, college. Their marketing is outstanding. Why? Because their budget right now, their reserve fund is $1,600,000,000. That is their reserve fund. Our budget right now, I think we have in the bank about $42,000. You know, seriously. I mean, we live on the edge, but God keeps us on our knees. And you know what? But that's who I'm going up against. So we needed one word. I went on campuses, hated birth choice. They knew what it was. They knew who we were, fake clinics, blah, 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 blah. And I said, great, that's actually what I wanted to hear. I wanted to affirm that this is what I believe. So I hired a company, and I said, you get me one word. And we want to trademark it nationally and internationally. And then I'm going to do a whole marketing campaign and define what that word is. Just like Nike and Uber, you know, people that back, 6 years ago said, well, here's an idea. I said, you don't know, you want Obria to mean something, and it doesn't. And I said, and you're all upset that it doesn't, like birth choice means something. I said, yeah, because we're marketing the donor. We're not marketing the patient, because the patient already knows. We are a pro-life pregnancy center offering a pregnancy test and ultrasound. What does the woman think? If they're only showing me a pregnancy, they're going to do a pregnancy test and an ultrasound, they're going to show me my baby. Of course, Planned Parenthood comes and says, yeah, they're going to show you the baby, the little heartbeat, and they're going to convince you that's a life, and then you're going to say, okay, I can't have this abortion, and then you get up from that ultrasound, and then you go, and you're going to, and they say, I can't abort this baby. Well, sorry to say, and it's not what's really published, but the Human Coalition on our side did deep research as well as Planned Parenthood. And the sad thing is the statistics are coming in and are now pretty solid that 80% of the women that go into a pregnancy center with an ultrasound and see the ultrasound go back and have the abortion. So the Heritage Foundation called me and said, we've done this research, and we go to the pro-life movement, and they say, no, and they give us, with the maternity homes and the pregnancy centers and the abstinence education and all that, oh, no, that's not right. And they said, but we kind of know that whenever we come to you, regardless of how painful it is, you're going to tell the truth. And I said, I can't back up the numbers or the percentages, but I agree. I said, because Planned Parenthood is too much of a, they go to what they know. We are creatures of habit. So if they have an ultrasound and it shows the baby's heartbeat, very young, and they walk out the door, and then they go back in and say, okay, if I'm going to carry this baby to term, I need medical care, right? I don't want diapers and formula. I just, I'm like in my, 4 weeks into this. I have an STD. I think I have an STD. I don't have any insurance. I need a doctor. I need somebody to walk me through this process. So I want to come back here and get these services. And the pregnancy center says, we're sorry, we don't do that. We just wanted you to see your baby so you could fall in love with your baby. But what we have to realize is she really doesn't care about that beating heart at that point. She only cares about what she's afraid of in herself. And she's looking for somebody to say, we're going to take care of all this. You don't have to go anywhere else. We're going to get you with our nurse practitioner and our OBGYN, and we're going to walk with you through that process. Just like that video said, we are here for you. But we can't do that. Now, do not get me wrong. Do not leave here and say, I don't like the pregnancy resource centers, because I do, just like I like the church. So guess what it is? It's a three-pronged, it's like the Trinity. It's like a stool. If one leg is missing, we aren't effective. This is the three prongs. The medical clinics on the front lines offering comprehensive care so that woman never has to step into a Planned Parenthood. That is our goal. That is the competitive business model. I'm sorry, this is a business. I have to pay bills, I have to pay rent, I pay employees, I have everything that you have, I have to keep the lights on. It's a business. It's a business for God, and we call it a ministry, but just like the church, you know. So on the front lines, do all of you remember MASH, that show on television? Okay, those helicopters dropped, and they're in there telling their funny jokes, and we're all laughing. And then the helicopters drop, and those stretchers come out with those bloody and broken men and women, and they put on and they rush out. That first point, they patch them up in those MASH units, and then they send them back. To who? To others can take care of them, because we're back here to take in the next group coming in. You see where I'm going? The clinics have to be there to patch them up, to be that first point of contact. Because if we're not, they're going to Planned Parenthood because they will. But what they do to them, we know. And what we do to them is we pass them back to the second leg. And that's the pregnancy resource centers. We take care of their medical services. They do the post-abortive healing. They do the moms classes, the fatherhood initiative. They do the diapers and the formula. They do the loving and caring. They do the education, and they are there because they can love them through for the next 9 months. While I'm the MASH unit getting them bloodied and broken and patched up and pass them back. I can't do what the pregnancy center does. They can't do what I do. And then what's the third leg? The church. And you know, it's very hard for the church to get involved on the medical side, because when they come in there, it's nurses and doctors and nurse practitioners and medical assistants, and we're going from exam room to exam room and so on and so forth. So what the church does is they go over, you all go over to the Pregnancy Resource Center, and you volunteer in the classes and teaching and doing the Bible studies and doing the parties and doing the layettes. You see what I'm saying? And the tripod, the Trinity, is who we are. I cannot do it without the church praying for us, for all of you supporting us. We can't do it without the pregnancy resource centers. So many people say Kathleen's against the resource centers, and they think that because I'm doing this over here, that I think I'm the big shot. You know, I am not. So that's what Obria is. We got a trademark name. We defined it. We defined it as, do we have the one, can you show, we'll come back to this one. We defined it as optimal health care for all. Now, we put life-affirming care first because we loved it. We want to say pro-life. We wanted to say life-affirming. But we also know that anything with life in it goes back to those names that Planned Parenthood has already said, don't go there. So as much as you all say, what does that mean with the pro-life movement and life-affirming and all the things you want to, this is what I'm telling you. Obria is the front line. We are the MASH unit. We are bloodied and broken ourselves. We see women and young men that you can't imagine, but they come to us because we've defined ourselves as something totally different. We've defined ourselves as their alternative to Planned Parenthood. That is who we are. We are an alternative to the Planned Parenthood clinic across the street. We offer more services. We do STI testing and treatment. We do HIV/AIDS. We do well woman care, pap smears, cancer screening, UTI testing and treatment. We do pregnancy care, ultrasounds, and we do in some of our clinics prenatal care up to delivery. We take every woman that walks in, regardless what she has, insurance, no insurance, we don't care. We are the MASH unit of the pro-life movement. And so when you talk about Obria and somebody says something, oh, that Kathleen, you know, she's just a money grabber, and she's just doing this, and she doesn't care about us, and she doesn't like the pregnancy centers, you can look at them and say, you're absolutely wrong. Because I am a pregnancy center that just moved into a bit more services. So then, I don't know if you know Paul Neff, but the Servant's Heart Foundation, he's an elder at Mariners Church, and he became a friend of mine. They became donors. And Paul came to me and he said, Kathleen, you need to take this national. I said, oh, no way am I going to take it national. No way, not in the pro-life movement. Sorry to say, we eat our own. You know, we kind of do. We're very territorial. You know, there's these little pregnancy centers, 28 of them around the country, and it's our little city and it's our many, and we're going to stay this way, and don't anybody rock the boat. That's what I'm saying. For 45 years, as Planned Parenthood has grown into this monstrous baby killer, our pregnancy resource centers handing out diapers and formula and doing ultrasounds is the answer. So now again, remember, there's a place. Fast forward. Do you all know what the abortion pill is? Are you 46? Do you know how easy it is to access Are You 46? Do you know what women are going today to get their abortion? Well, I'm going to give you some really important information. The abortion clinics today is right here. It is right here. The abortion clinic today is not brick and mortar. The abortion clinic today is a young woman or young man at 2 in the morning knowing she just took a pregnancy test, and she goes online and she searches for abortion. And guess what comes up? Something really great since Obamacare, and it's called telemedicine. Do you all know what telemedicine is? Have you heard of telemedicine? So telemedicine is an online virtual medical clinic staffed by medical doctors and nurse practitioners that came out of Obamacare. It came out actually for our generation. So they wanted to get all the baby boomers out of the community clinics getting every month to get their blood pressure and their heart medicine and whatever, and you have to go in and the nurse comes in and does everything and hands you the pill. Well, guess what? They said, we're going to get them, Obamacare said we're going to get them out of the community clinics, we're going to serve them at home. Actually, there was a program that actually gave them iPads, and they showed them how to set up the iPad, so when they need their prescription at that 30 days, they go on the iPad, and it's telemed. It's an app. They download the app for them. It's an app. And so they say you click on the app, and the nurse comes up, and you take your vital signs. They teach you how to do it. Give it to her, and she's great. Your prescription is ready at the pharmacy. Boom, it's done. They never have to go into a clinic, and so it's really our generation. But guess what happened? Guess who grabbed that? Planned Parenthood. Why? Oh my gosh. Telemedicine was built just for them. Their telemedicine app called Planned Parenthood Direct went up in February of 2017. Girls' apps they just say, I'm pregnant, I took that test, they pull it up, abortion, telemedicine comes up, Planned Parenthood Direct, a nurse comes on, asks her 6 questions, she answers them, says, okay, depending upon states, most states don't require an ultrasound, and those that did, they're all dropping aside. They basically said you can come into the Planned Parenthood and pick up your pill, or you can pick it up at the local pharmacy. Where do you want us to send the prescription? Of course, they drive them into Planned Parenthood. They walk in the door, the little bag's sitting on the counter. They've learned, and they tell them, well, we want you to take the first pill here, and then you can go home and take the other set of pills in 72 hours. Now, you all have heard this, the abortion pill, and you've heard of the abortion pill reversal. So the girl takes the pill. They want them to take the pill in the Planned Parenthood because they tell the girls, no matter what you hear, you cannot reverse this. And if you think by not taking those other 5 pills and you go ahead and you birth this baby is going to be severely deformed. Because this pill is cutting off oxygen, and it is, and food to that fetus. And if you have that baby's born, that baby didn't get oxygen, and that baby will be deformed. So once you take this pill, you can't stop. So don't listen to the other side. I think right now we've done over 70 abortion pill reversals. The babies are born, and of course they're as healthy as can be. That's a lie. So of course Dr. Delgado came out, and guess where women are finding the abortion pill reversal? On their phone. Right now, 60%, the average of 60% of first trimester abortions are being aborted in the bedroom through the pill, access through Planned Parenthood's online virtual medical clinic, their telemedicine app, 60% in the United States. It's 97% in Europe. I believe we'll be at 97% by 2021, maybe 2020. It's too easy. It's too simple. And now you know also that all of our colleges and universities are now accessing the pill. So what the girl is doing, oh, we're not cutting out Planned Parenthood here. She still goes here. She goes, the Planned Parenthood app comes up, and it directs them, because Planned Parenthood is running those clinics on every college university. It still comes up here, but now they're directing them into her clinic right there on campus to get the pill. They go home and take the pill those first 72 hours, then they take the other 5 pills, and then they abort their baby in their bedroom and flush it down the toilet. Now, I have to say, in some states in the United States, it's 74% in Iowa. That's where Planned Parenthood launches everything. They also launch their app there. I'm giving you this information because I need you to understand that the days of the pregnancy center with diapers and formula is a need. But we need to be in that MASH unit, in that tent, on the smartphone. And so in 2017 of February, Obria created, $1.5 million later, the first pro-life telemedicine app. And ours is Obria Direct. And what we do when we have money, and we a lot of times don't, we do everything we can to push funding into marketing that app. Because if we don't come up in the Google search, if I don't have money in Google ad campaigns, we don't come up until down here, and we're done. If we are not here today, we might as well go home. That's where technology, and it's only going to grow. So anyway, I'm here today to say, look, there's a lot going on out there. There's a lot of stuff that Planned Parenthood is doing, but I promise you, and I guarantee you, that we will continue to stand on that front lines. So when Paul and Nev said, Kathleen, you got to take it national, I said no for 3 years. I said no. I was basically saying no to God, but I didn't want to think about God. Now, by the way, now I'm a devout Christian. I mean, God is the center of my life. My 2 hours in the morning are with him, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. No. No. I am 67 years old. I am not doing this. You bring somebody else to do this. No, I love you, Jesus. I love you. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do over here. Blah, 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 blah. And here we are. We formed a vision and strategy committee, and I went from the board, and I sat. And I was like, whatever. You know, I'm not doing it. Anyway, today we're in 7 states. Obria is in 7 states. We have 48 clinics. Our goal is 200 strategically located in high abortion cities next to mega Planned Parenthoods. That's our goal. It doesn't always work that way. God has a plan. We might get a call from a little town in North Fork, Iowa. Don't even know if that's out there, but we do have 6 clinics in Iowa. And says, hey, we're just a pregnancy center, but we really want to do this. And we say, okay, you have to do this. And we send somebody in to help them. We don't turn anybody away, because it's come to this. If we do not unify the pro-life movement, we are not going to win. Do you all know Marjorie? Have you heard of Marjorie Dannenfelser, head of the Susan B. Anthony list in Washington, D.C.? I mean, the most powerful. She can walk into Trump's office. In fact, she's the one, if you want to pray for somebody, she's the one that walked into Trump when he was running for president and said, if you want the presidency, you need the pro-life Christian vote, and you're only going to get that through me. And he said, okay, tell me what you want. She goes, I want you to sign this document saying you will do all of this. And I mean, when you sign it, you give me your word, and you will do it. Supreme Court, pro-life Supreme Court justices was right at the top, yay. And it goes on down. You have to, I don't know what you think about Trump, but I can tell you this, after being in this movement for 39 years, he is the most pro-life president we have ever had. Yeah. So I'm going to end with a little story about the president and the United States and being in Washington, D.C. But I want you to, when you leave, to pick up this, because I need you to take information that you're going to read, because you're going to read it, and this affirms everything I've talked about. But the most important thing is our campaign goals: to grow to 200 Obria medical clinics, build a national presence, serve 125,000 women a year, and compete nose to nose with Planned Parenthood. That is Obria. And how do you do it? This is how you do it. And there's another piece. And you need this because you're going to become my warriors, because I don't live here anymore, you do. And so basically is, what is Obria Effect? A national brand. If someone says, why do we need a brand? Unifying pro-life movements under a brand. And as Obria grows, and Planned Parenthood, by the way, is, you've heard, decreasing. You see this? You know, if you see this, our theme from Esther is such a time as this. Why did I pick that? I didn't, God did. Because I was thinking, why am I doing this? Why? But you think about this. Think about this. Oh my gosh, Planned Parenthood is falling apart. OBRI is growing. Planned Parenthood numbers are going down. OBRI is growing. Planned Parenthood's money is dropping. Now, they still have $1,600,000,000, but they're going to put at least 500 or 600 million into their political campaign. Let them do it. Because you know what? God's on our side. So guess what we did? We realized that every single little block suddenly started falling into place. Marjorie Danifelser went to Donald Trump, the candidate, running, said, you sign this, I'll bring you the pro-life movement, you do these things. He did it. And President Trump did something that I never thought would happen. Reagan did it. Do you all know what that is? You don't. Well, first I'm going to finish this. We have digital outreach. In other words, digital, diversified revenue stream. What is that? We get grants. I'm going to talk about that. We get funding from our donors. And guess what? Because we're licensed medical clinics, we can bill Medicaid. So, you hear about the other millions and millions of dollars that Planned Parenthood gets. It's through Medicaid. They bill for their patients. Now, that does not mean we don't need our donors. That billing goes to support that mom. We still have to support our business model. So people say, we can't tell them we're billing because they're going to think we don't need them anymore. I said, well, then tell them the truth. We need you more than ever. Because we're serving more and more women, and we're growing nationally. And Rachel, you got 6 clinics in Iowa, and we got 12 clinics in California. You see what I'm saying? We got 2 new ones opening up in Oregon. We've got 6 in Washington. We've got 1 in Georgia. We've got 1 in Texas. We just brought on Florida, and we're headed into New York City. So, yeah. We are comprehensive medical care. A woman never has to go into an abortion clinic to get her health care. And hopefully we reach her before she goes over there for her abortion. So I'm going to share the final thing. I told you all these pieces. Margie went in, President Trump got elected. I'm like, everybody told me. I have dear friends in the National Catholic Register, and they say, Trump's going to take this and he's going to blow it. He is not going to live by this. And I'm going, oh, really? And I'm believing it. And look what he's done. All of a sudden, things got into place. And guess what he just took on? Well, you all know that, Title 10. How many of you have been screaming about the fact that your tax dollars continues to flow into Planned Parenthood? $60 million a year. Yeah. I mean, seriously, really, how many, raise your hand, are so angry that all these years, your tax money, your hard-earned money is going to Planned Parenthood? 60 million a year after year after year. If you do the math, it's very scary and sad, supporting their organization. Well, we're faith-based and we're pro-life. Never going to happen. We're never going to get Title 10 funding, ever. Yeah, until we got President Trump. And President Trump put out the Respect Life rule. And injunctions went against it. They were stopping it. He fought it. And guess what happened? What was it, about a month and a half ago? It got to the Ninth Circuit Court. The Ninth Circuit is the most liberal court in the country, but nobody really knew that President Trump had been putting judges, 10 pro-life Christian judges, he got into the Ninth Circuit. They kept it very quiet. 3 of those judges took Planned Parenthood's case, and Nancy Pelosi and the left, and said, not in our court. The Respect Life rule is upheld. Now I want you to know my case was coming right by him. So Becket Fund, who did the Hobby Lobby case and the Little Sisters of the Poor and some bakers, and I don't know, the Becket Fund is the biggest Christian civil liberties law firm in the country. Becket Fund, Becket Law. Becket Fund had come to us and said, we want to take on your case on Title 10. So fast forward, Title 10 comes out, and I wrote the grant. And I get attacked from the other side. Oh my God, she's a money grabber. She's from our side, the pro-life side. She's a money grabber. All she hears, she's going to have to dispense hormonal contraception. She's going to have to refer for abortion. She's going to do all this and that. And that's the word that went out. And I secretly sat there and thought, I read the grant. Subgrantees, natural family planning, fertility education, sexual risk avoidance education. Before that, I got a Title V grant. What is the Title V grant? Do you all know about the AB 329, the California Health Youth Act? The education program, the sex education program in your public schools right here being taught by written by LGBTQ and taught by Planned Parenthood over 5 days. It's pornographic, it's disgusting. Well, guess what? We got a Title V grant to bring sexual risk avoidance education into the public schools. Anaheim School District just clicked out Planned Parenthood, and we're going in. We hope to go into the other schools in California. We got a grant, $1 million grant, $450,000 here and $450,000 in Washington, to take our comprehensive sex education program, which is beautiful, into the public schools and into the private schools. So, I'm just telling you, between telemedicine and now taking on the schools and taking on Planned Parenthood from the clinics now into the schools here in Washington and California, now we get back to Trump. So he gave us $1 million from Title V, which is abstinence education now. It wasn't abstinence before. That we can use in the public schools. That was the first grant. He set us up, let me tell you. And so then they opened up Title X. Well, the first year in 2018, HHS called us and said, write the grant. We wrote the grant. And because Trump said it's not going to Planned Parenthood. What did he say about Planned Parenthood? You cannot do abortion in a Title X clinic. So if you're going to do abortion, Planned Parenthood, you got to move your abortion facilities over to another facility. You can do your well woman care here. Well woman care, but let's pretend. You can do your well woman care, but you got to move it over here. You got to do that. And you can't even discuss or counsel on abortion, that positive. You can counsel against it, which of course they're not going to do that. But you cannot even counsel. So he did that under the Respect Life rule. Planned Parenthood, Nancy Pelosi, the left went nuts. And so what happens then? I get a call from HHS. You need to submit the grant. So the first year, last year, 2018, we didn't get the grant, and Planned Parenthood got funded. And I'm going, what the heck? That grant, Mauricio was buried, our grant writer, for 90 days. I mean, he wrote this massive 180-page grant or something in budget. It's horrible. And we sent it in, and there was no way we were going to get funding. So I called HHS and says, what the heck? What was this? Was this a joke? And they said, no, you're going to get a report back from HHS, because it went through review on everything that's strong and what's not strong in that grant. And this grant the grant now is not a 3-year grant, it's just a 7-month grant, because the Respect Life rule is still held up in court, and they had to launch Title X on August 1st by law. So he said, but it's only for 7 months. In 7 months, we know that it'll be out of the courts, which is exactly what happened. Guess what happened? In January of 2019, we resubmitted that grant. We made all the changes they told us to make from the first submittal, and we were the only pro-life group, faith-based group in the country that got funded in Title X, your tax dollars. Now, they got $60 million, we got $5.1 million over a 3-year, but guess what just happened? When the Ninth Circuit Court upheld it, and Trump said, nah, you gotta move your abortion services into another facility, they gave the money back. They gave their $60 million back. HHS came to us and said, we're going to figure out, we have to spend the money, and we're hoping that we asked for $12 million, we got $5.1 million. It goes to the clinics. It passes through us, we're the grantee, to do fertility education, sexual risk avoidance education in schools. It partners with our Title V grant. You see what Trump was doing? I didn't realize, but they knew all along they were doing. We were like, wow, we're really good. We are good, but anyway, so here we are. So I'm finishing with this. The day that the Title X grants were funded and announced, I was in the White House, and at 10 o'clock that morning, they had a call from everybody. I was in the HHS people. The call came in, we were listening, and I'm sitting in the Vice President's office, and one woman screamed, did they fund a pro-life group under that funding? And I'm going, oh my gosh, it was like Satan coming through the phone. And so I'm thinking, oh, here, how many of us, how many people, this is going to be exciting. Did we get funded? Did we get funded? And they said, yes. And I'm going, yes. How many? One. Now, I'm in the Vice President's office, and his chief of staff, and the woman like the Kellyanne Conway of Trump is looking at me, and she looked at me, and she said, why'd you do it? And I said, oh, my God, it's us. I said, no. I'm not taking this on. That means we're taking on Planned Parenthood, we're taking on the left, we're taking on Nancy Pelosi, we're taking on the crazies. I am not going to do this. And they said, too late. So I just have to say, when you hear something about we took Title X, it's under the Respect Life rule. And I want you to know, pastors, that Trump's statement was to us, I did this for the church. I did this for the Catholics and the Protestants, that if I get reelected in the next 40 years, we are going to make sure that we are funding pro-life and faith-based organizations around this country so this money never will go back to Planned Parenthood. So Kathleen, go out there and speak at every church you can. Speak to every pro-life group you can. And instead of pointing the finger at me and telling lies that I'm dispensing hormonal contraception and I've gone the dark side and I'm a money grabber, understand that the President of the United States, I believe now with all my heart, came to the Lord when he became President of the United States through prayers of all of us. And I'm telling you, he's there for all of us. I don't care what you think about his other things and all the stuff that's going on. I can tell you this, that man is pro-life. And that man has HHS behind him. And that man has the Department of Justice behind him. And I want to tell you the final thing is this, is that there was a congressional hearing on Capitol Hill. Now, like the Kavanaugh hearing, it was that ugly. And it was a question, it was called Save Title 10. And it was being put on by the left. And it was under the Commerce Committee, which is, you know, they bundle things. And I watched it, it was on the news, but I have an advocacy group, a beautiful young couple that lives here in Orange County, and they have been on the Hill for 20 years advocating for faith and life. And I met them, and we've hired them to keep Obria on the Hill. And they called me and said, you got to watch this. And I sat for 5.5 hours and watched a congressional hearing that was the most scariest thing I've ever done. And my husband got up and he said, that's it. I want you to drop this. I do not want you to do this. You know, the press has attacked us. You can do Kathleen Eaton Bravo. You can do Obria. You can see the attacks. Through it all, I'm still standing. And my clinics are still growing. And yes, it's been brutal. When you have George Soros coming after you, you want to run. In fact, a 40-page document. Please don't download it, because every time you download it, you give it legs. And it was 40 pages of lies. And Beckett called me, Mark Renzi called me from the Beckett Fund, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, I'm curled up in the fetal position underneath my covers sobbing. And he goes, how many pages are you? He never even asked me. I know why, you know. He said, how many pages? I said, on page 3. He said, go into the office. I'm listening. I want you to shred it right now. And I want you to get back up and go out and do what you're doing, because we've got this and God's got this. Now go do what you're doing, because we need you. So I'm sharing this all with you. And it's sort of a different talk than probably you expected of the warm fuzzy about all the things we're doing. I guarantee you we're doing the warm fuzzies. And we're saving babies in 7 states now in 48 clinics. And by the grace of God and a lot of hard work and some people funding us and believing in what we're doing, we will win. We will win. Planned Parenthood is falling for such a time as this. Never have we had every piece fall into place. Never. You know, Reagan did this. The group that was like us, that you had to have somebody pushing it through. They can't take a case to the Supreme Court. They had one group. By the time they got to the Supreme Court, it took a long time to get to the Supreme Court, the group was out of business. Well, I'm not out of business, I'm still here. We didn't need to go to the Supreme Court, we won in the 9th Circuit. And so here we are today. So all of this is in here. I need you. I am not here just to speak, to ask you to pray for us, and I'm probably not supposed to attribute those that can support us, but I need you to be my warriors on the ground. And I need you to talk to everybody you can out there about Obria and the fact that we've got on our side a faith-based, pro-life organization run by a crazy woman that is 67 years old, and I'm going to do this till God takes me home. I've been doing it for my child Toby in heaven, for every other aborted baby, and for every mom and dad that has lost a baby through abortion. And through all of us and the church and the pregnancy centers, and through this huge, huge, beautiful thing that God has created, they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. So I'm praying that we get 4 more years of a pro-life president, because in 4 years with HHS and DOJ and Obria and what's going on in the church and the support and the people standing up, ladies and gentlemen, the days of Planned Parenthood controlling the health care and the scenario of women's health women's reproductive health, that's the new name or acronym for abortion, that it is true women's reproductive health, and that is life. So God bless you, and thank you very much. Thank you.